Kablooey! Hey everybody, welcome back to Defcon 5, my series where I'm taking a look at 5 different defenders and 5 different controllers here on the City of Heroes Homecoming servers, Excelsior Shard, trying to answer the old question that's been haunting us since 2004. Which of the classic archetypes supporting sets support ATs in the game, defender or controller, is better, is the superior teammate, the one that is going to be more helpful on your team, the one that's going to see you through the rough times. And today we're continuing our exploration of DEFCON level 4. We have advanced the clock. We're taking a look this time around at Nature Affinity, a power set that's all about healing and absorb and regeneration and other buffs through patches and blooms and exploding green numbers everywhere. And we have pitted 2 challengers, one of which is a defender by the name of Screaming Tree, Nature Affinity, Sonic Attack, and Energy Mastery. I went over his build and ran some solos the other day. So if you haven't seen that video yet, go ahead and take a look at that when you get a chance. And then today, we're going to get into Fey Wode, my controller. So you have the side by side fresh in your mind, having watched Screaming Tree and then this Fey Wode video. I'm going to go through her build today. We're going to take a look at her in some solo action. And just as a reminder about what is she all about, we have this idea of this night terror, this witchling, this daughter of the dark Fey forest, who is this fairy spirit that is going to use the powers of darkness and shadow, control them, and haunt you with those in the dark, twisted woods, that unnatural affinity, perhaps, along with dark mastery, to scare the crap out of you and frighten you into submission. And so she's combining Dark Control with its myriad of powers, has a lot of sort of the standard stuff in it, holds and immobilizes, but it really leans into fear and minus to hit as a debuff, which is very powerful combination. I think when you take a look at when people talk about controllers being better with support sets, I think what they really mean is with debuff versions of support sets. And Nature Affinity is not very debuffy, but Dark Control sure is debuffy and controlling all wrapped into one. So it is a very powerful control set. I think I'm going to say it's the most powerful control set. I mean, it's up there, top 3 for sure, if not 1, depending on maybe enemies you're taking on, whatever. But it's up there, right? It's a powerful set. So we're going to try to find out, is this combination of Dark Control with Nature Affinity superior to what Screaming Tree is all about, who is taking Nature Affinity and Sonic Blast? So between those two, who's got what it takes to win this competition, to show once and for all what is your superior set here? So let me go ahead and pull up our mids build for the Fey Wode, and we'll have something to talk about. Let me shift this camera over. There we go. Here's our friend Fey Wode. We're going to go through her build, see what my plans were, see what the strategies are, and then we're going to go and execute upon those strategies with a little solo action. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So, Fey Wode, the big thing right out of the gate is I've taken everything here in Dark Control, with the exception of Possess. I mentioned this in the Challenger video a couple videos ago. Again, if you haven't seen that one, make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel so that you know when these videos are coming out. But feel free to pause this one and go take a look at what I was talking about there in the challenge video. But long story short, Possess is a single target confuse. I don't like it. I don't like it in this set specifically. I mean, I've used confuses before. I like it in mind control, but this particular version, I don't like the animation. I don't like the slowness of the casting time. I don't really think it fits what Dark Control can do, which is more of an aggressive attacking set. It's not a stand back and let me confuse somebody while you all watch and wait. It just doesn't work that way. I think you're better off just sicking your haunts on stuff, throwing fearsome stare, charging in their heart of darkness, whatever. unleashing your terrifying powers upon people, not possessing somebody. I mean, maybe if it was like a melee-ish click, it might work a little bit better, but meh, not for it. And then Nature Affinity, similarly, I took everything except for Rebirth, the single target res. I actually like this power. I took it with Screaming Tree because it's not just a res, it's also a single target heal over time, which I think is nice. It gives you that option. You don't have to spend a pick on a power that you only use because you had an ally die and you're hoping and praying somebody dies so you can use it. And what's the point of that? So it actually gives you an option of a power that you can pick and actually slot up and use consistently throughout your career. I didn't take it on this particular character because, um, as a debuffy kind of controller, I'm not really worrying too much about supporting per se, and oh, let me get my allies back in the fight. She's going to probably be more aggressive, getting in there and attacking with controls, alphaing with her controls, with support kind of being a preemptive thing where I'll click Wild Growth, Wild Bash, and Overgrowth, etc. And then once I've done those controls and I've already pre-buffed, then I can worry about throwing down some toggles and some patches and stuff like that. So I think she's going to play a little bit, probably similar to the way that Screaming Tree is going to play, a very attacky, aggressive style, not standing back at all. As a matter of fact, if her team that she gets on forces her into a stand back role, she's going to do horribly. So I think she's going to have to be much more aggressive, much more just taking the lead, taking the alpha position, and going, whether there's a tank or a brute or not. So that's kind of the overarching philosophy here with these sets. And then of course I grabbed Dark Mastery on top of that. Dark Mastery is going to bring more of that spooky darkness. It's going to give me some blast with Dark Blast, Umbral Torrent. Soul Consumption, we'll get to that one in a little bit. I like the idea of it, but yeah, the recharge in that is like probably the longest recharge I've ever seen on a power. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. But again, we'll get there in a minute. Let's go ahead though and take a look at the powers. Let me go ahead and turn these pop-ups off so they're not super annoying as they keep jumping in front of us here. And let me make sure I've got my little pop-out window ready. Okay, yep. So when I need to zoom in on stuff, I'll pop out like this. All right, so anyway, what do we got? Let's go down Dark Control first. This is the primary. So you've got your standard fare. You've got Shadowy Binds, single target immobilize, Dark Grasp, single target hold, Living Shadows, AoE, I think that's a cone. Yeah, it's a cone. So a cone immobilize. So these are your 1, 2, 3 attacks. And I have them slotted accordingly. Dark Grasp, you'll see I've got a set of one of my favorites. I've mentioned this before, Devastation. I like to put the chance to hold in there because it gives any character that has blasting the ability to proc these mag 2 holds, which is enough to hold a minion and I think a lieutenant. It's only a few seconds, but you can stack it with your other single target attacks that have it. So I have it in Dark Grasp, and I have it in Shadowy Binds. So that gives my Dark Grasp, which is a hold, another chance to hold, and then when I hit the enemy with my other single target attack, my immobilize, that too has the chance to proc a hold. So lickety split, I can hit somebody with, what's that, a total of mag, let's see, my hold itself, let me shut off my incarnate stuff just to make sure that's not giving us any false readings here, so shut all those off. So my hold from the control itself is mag 3. Controllers also get that overpower chance to proc a critical hold, which is a mag 1 additional, so total 4. This is for like single shot holding a boss. Then you've got the 2 from the chance to hold here, so there's another mag 2. That's what you're seeing there. And then last but not least, you got Shadowy Binds has its mag 2 proc. So I can hit somebody with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, mag 8 hold, bam, bam, within a couple seconds. So that's enough to definitely lock down a boss. If there's a single boss on the map, they're pretty much going to be held. End of story. And I can just start beating on them at that point. So that's the first thing with that devastation that I like about it. And also just the other bonuses you get from the set, regeneration and hit points. That's, helps you with survivability. It has a damage boost, so that's gonna help you, with your damage output. So I've got that stacked twice now. And then you got some fire and cold resistance, which, fire damage is pretty common in the game. Cold resistance, I think, is probably the rarest type of damage you're going to run into, just from my own experience and the testing I've been running lately. I think you need to go out of your way to find cold damage in the game. That's how infrequent it is. Some of the Circle of Thorns is probably your most likely location of cold damage coming in. So that's the deal with Dark Grasp, and that's the deal with Shadowy Bind. So they're basically just slotted to do damage. I've got it close to 90% damage, and I had the chance to hold in there. I could get 100% damage if I threw the damage recharge in there, but I don't really need more recharge on these two powers. They're already recharging like 2.5 seconds on the Immobilize. The Dark Grasp is recharged at 5 seconds. So yeah, maybe there's argument made, hey, let's get the damage recharge in Dark Grasp to get that hold even faster or stack it even faster. But I think it's fine right now, and I can always get more recharge through other means. So I wasn't too worried about it. So there's your 1-2. Then with Living Shadows, let's take a look at Living Shadows. Living Shadows here is where you see me use that ATO proc, the same one that I had shown you guys with my Electrical Affinity controller, Ostara. She was using plant control along with Electrical Affinity. That was the Defcon 5 level of this series. So if you haven't seen that video, again, like, subscribe to the channel, go back and take a look at the playlist for Defcon, and you'll see my videos about Ostara, and especially what I learned from her. And this is, I already had this build. I haven't touched it since anything has started, so this is not like in response to anything. But what I definitely learned from the Ostara video is that I initially had this overpowering presence ATO set in her carrying creepers, but this energy font was not proccing. And so when I moved it over to roots for her, which is the equivalent of Living Shadows, an AoE immobilize, it was proccing all the time. Got some decent damage out of it. Plus, I also put in another damage proc in there, and that ended up resulting in a whole bunch extra damage just for me switching some stuff around. But anyway, with this character, I already have the energy fountain here, and what this little, I guess it's actually a buffable pet. It just doesn't last that long. I think it's maybe out for 30 seconds or something like that. I don't know if there's even something on there that I can look up to give you guys the hard numbers on how long does that thing last. Let me see if it's on City of Data. Let me pause for a second. All right, yeah, I found it. So here on City of Data, this site's great if you want to get into the crunchiness, the numbers of the game. So overpowering presence, the recharge transfer energy font. Here it is. It says it's 1 ppm. You create an entity, this overwhelming presence pet. So now if I look at it here, let me see what this does. Shocking aura. Let's see, is a duration here? Not seen a duration yet. Self-destruct. What's a self-destruct? Oh, it's 20 seconds. Okay. So your energy font, when it spawns, it's not super frequent, but you're gonna get it once, twice easily per fight. It'll proc often enough. And it'll last for 20 seconds, which is, about the length of an average, encounter with a team of 8, let's say, against 54. So I think it's gonna last long enough. It is buffable, and it's also destroyable. And it has this shocking aura power, which doesn't do a ton of damage. It's 11 points of energy damage. It says it also has a chance to stun. That I did not know. Interesting. So the shocking aura, if you stand near it, suffer energy. Weaker foes have a chance to be stunned. I did not know that that power stuns. Very interesting. Does it give the aura? Yeah, so the radius is 15 feet. You guys see that just down here. So anybody within 15 feet of this can take damage. I don't know how often that procs, though. Doesn't say anywhere that I see. So you can take some damage. I don't know, maybe it's just once or something like that, and you have a chance to deliver a mag to stun 30%. So that's very interesting. So this power is pretty darn useful if you think about it. And you just got to get it out there. So if I can get 2 of these out there, that's going to increase some damage. You're going to get some stunning going on, right? It's going to be a couple extra targets that are going to get, the enemies distracted a little bit. So I think it's, one of these win-win type of situations. So that's the benefit there for putting the energy font in something that's going to proc it. So very, Very interesting here. Okay. Then what else we got? So that's our 1, 2, 3 attack. So damage, single target, damage, single target. The damage on Living Shadows is not that big. Let me do the pop up on this one, just because I don't have it slotted as an attack power. That's something I could look into. So it's only going to do 22 damage. It is going to proc the energy font, so I'm going to get some more out of that. But what I had done with my plant controllers, I had this Franken slotted. I had a couple of these the overwhelming presence sets, and then I had 3 bombardments in there. So something like this, an AoE immobilized, at least on a controller, they are worth 5 and 6 slotting and trying to get some damage procs or trying to get some damage out of them. Because as a controller, and if you looked at the numbers that I put out with, I just posted this video today. This video will air, a few days after that one. But I just put out my final verdict on the Electrical Affinity, and one of the things I saw from the controller, Ostara, from her roots, the equivalent to Living Shadows, that was her most damaging AoE attack that she had. So getting some more juice out of this would be wise. So I may need to double check this build at some point and go back and do that. However, as I'm looking at my build, for the most part, what I was actually going for here wasn't so much just raw damage. I have some decent damage, but I'm going for a lot more control and debuff if you just look around at my set choices, right? I've got Living Shadows is got the overpowering presence. That's a controller set. It's going to boost my overall numbers for all my controls by 8%. It's giving me some hit points, smash lethal, some recovering. So I've got control there. If you look at Fearsome Stare, which is coming up next, I've got that thing slotted with a bunch of the, get that pop out of your way, of the Clouded Senses. This is the accurate to hit debuff set, so I'm going after to hit debuffery. If we look at the effects on that, the way I've got it slotted, you're getting an 18.5% to hit debuff on it. It also has the Mag 3 Fear on it for 29 seconds. The Critical Fear, if that procs at Overwhelming, or Overpower, I think it's called, it's going to give you another 19 seconds of a Mag 1. So that thing is juiced up. I've got the damage proc in this one, so I'm getting some damage with that out of Fearsome Stare. So that's one way you can kind of, cheat the system a little bit, is get some damage from your damage proc. So I'm going to be curious to see how much that does. But otherwise, this power normally doesn't do any damage, so I'm turning it into a damaging power. Then I've got Heart of Darkness. Take a look at that one next. Heart of Darkness is right here. I do have Heart of Darkness slotted as a damaging attack because I'm going to use it a lot. The recharge is 47 seconds, which is, just about every group. You fight for 20, 30 seconds. You then move on to the next group for 15 seconds. So it's going to be up just about every single, group I encounter. It's slotted for damage because it does a decent chunk. It's got the ticks of negative for 6, but I also have it procced for the chance for knockdown in here from Avalanche, Superior Avalanche. So this turns this power not just into a stun, but a nice AoE, throws the guys up in the air and they fall down. So you'll see that. It's got an extra little damage mitigation. It is, it's not a huge damaging power, but, it's going to deliver 30-ish by the time it's done ticking away. Plus, if I have containment going, that number will be doubled, right? If I turn on containment, now the number is doubled. So you can kind of see that here. So here's Heart of Darkness. If I, containment, I get 60. No containment, I get 30. I'm going to have containment because I'm going to have Living Shadows spamming. And the length of the immobilize on this thing is sitting at, pull this up here. So I'm immobilizing for, 50 seconds, 25 seconds if it's another critical here. So lots of, soft control like that means I'm going to be able to get in there and take advantage of containment. Then you're also looking at Shadowfield's my other big control. Let me go ahead and pull that guy up here. Shadowfield's right here. I have this one. I love this power as far as a great AoE hold power. So here it is, Shadowfield. It's got a Shadow Field Controller it's like a pseudo pet that it summons. Now this Mag 2 hold you're seeing up here, that's from the lockdown set that I have in here. There's a chance for a Mag 2 hold. I love this set because it makes, especially for controllers, it makes your AoE control much better, your AoE hold. Because normally, your AoE hold can only hold, minions and lieutenants. You can't single shot hold a boss like a Dominator could using Domination. So to get that extra little something something, I like to throw lockdowns in there if possible. And then it's got this Shadow Field controller, and I think I'll pull this up on City of Data as well, just to see what that translates into. All right, here we go. Here is the Shadow Field generator on City of Data. So you create this thing. It lasts for 45 seconds, it says. And let's see what it does. Shadow Field. It has a minus 15% to hit. It's got a 5% chance for a Mag 3 4-second hold. That's against PvE targets. That's PvP. So 4-second hold Mag 3. That seems pretty low. I only look at this thing here, Shadow Field Controller. Again, I don't know. 20% chance for a Mag 1. Oh, this must be the yeah, for controllers. This is your overpower thing. All right, so if I'm translating this correctly, I think it ticks. I think it ticks holds, but again, I'm not 100% sure. Looking at these numbers, here's what it seems to be indicating. So if you're a controller, you're going to get an 8-second Mag 3 hold, and then you got a 20% chance for your overpower to kick in a 6-second Mag 1. So basically Mag 4 total. And then I've got the Mag 2 from Lockdown on top of that. So it's a short length hold, yes, but it also is doing that Shadow Field, which has the 15% debuff on top of everything else. That's a 15-second duration for that thing. So that's interesting because, the only thing I don't 100% know about this power is it active post casting? So in other words, if somebody runs through it after you've casted who was not in it initially, do they have a chance to get held? I don't know if it's like a patchy thing that keeps chance to holding anybody who runs into it. It's something I'll have to pay attention to. I'm not sure it was clear there in the City of Data description. But anyway, I do have this chance as far as the 2, then you got the extra 4. It's 8 seconds total. So, you can end up with about Mag 6 hold for 8 seconds. 6 seconds, somewhere's in there if all these things proc. Plus you get that debuff that you're looking at as well. So I think, you add that all up, it's a solid control slash debuff. And then we'll talk about the two pets in a second because that's going to require looking at City of Data, just given the weirdness of what they do. So last thing I do want to say about this set before I kind of dive into that is just adding up all the to hit debuffery. Obviously you're getting controls out of this, you're getting some damage out of it. But what else do you get here? The Shadowy Binds, I'm going to kind of look at these things, the effects wise. So Shadowy Binds, that's got a 7.5% debuff here for your to hit. So, you're spamming that out there. It probably doesn't stack. Let me just confirm that. Does that stack with itself? Well, let's see if let me go over to City of Data again and see if this is going to stack or not. That'll be an interesting question. Pop back over here. Turn this back on. City of. Boom. Can't. Okay. Did I get it? No. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Fixed it. All right. So anyway, so we're taking a look at, see this Shadowy Binds. Looking for the minus to hit. So here's what it says. The minus to hit is 7.5% down here. Let me scoot this up so you guys can see it a little bit better. There we go. So 7.5% debuff for 15 seconds. And then it says stackings per caster. So it does stack. All right, so interesting. So I'm just looking. You guys can't see it on your screen, but it is stackable according to this. So you can stack this thing. Very interesting. So if you spam the crap out of this for 15 seconds, that effect is lasting. I don't know if there's like a limit to the number of stacks, though. Interesting, though. I didn't realize that. Huh. Hmm. What do you know? So, very spammable, very stackable. What about your Dark Grasp numbers? Let me see those real quick. Another 7.5, 10 seconds. Does this stack? Stackings per caster, stacks of the existing effect. So it doesn't cancel itself. Very interesting. So you can stack the crap out of your minus to hit from those two single target things. And what about Living Shadows? That one probably doesn't stack. 100% chance, 7.5% debuff, 8 seconds, stacking. Yeah, so all three of those powers will stack with themselves. That is very, very intriguing. I had no idea that that was true. This kind of gives you another idea. Oh, you could turn this into a complete debuffing, beast just by spamming those powers and slotting them with something like Cloud Senses here with the accurate to hit debuffs. You might be able to get a decent chunk of damage out of the procs as well. That's another way you can kind of build this character. Just screw the controls. You're going to go for total debuffery as your feature. Anyway, so hey, if you take a look at all those numbers, right, we had 7.5, it was. We had 7.5, that's 15. Another 7.5, that's 22.5, and it's stackable. So you're able to throw that down repeatedly. At the same time, you got Fearsome Stare delivering 18.5. So we're talking about 35, 36 or so percent minus to hit at this point. That you're just from range, you're just throwing, like, this is pretty much your opener, right? Fearsome Stare, Living Shadows, Hold, Dark Grass, Shadow Binds, pow, pow, pow. You don't even need to go anywhere. You're just spamming that crap down and you're 35-ish or whatever, 36% debuff. And then if they're sitting in Shadow Field, we had the numbers on that from City of Data. What was that again? Like 10% or something like that? Let me pull that up again because now I'm really curious. I think you could probably layer the crap out of this thing. Shadow Field. Here it is. Open that up again. The field, I think, had the numbers on it. 15%. So 15, now we're at what, like 50% to hit debuff if they're sitting in Shadow Field. And this has all been done at range. You haven't really had to put yourself at risk at all at this point. So interesting, interesting idea. Dark, I had no idea that Dark Control was this debuffy. If you paired it with Darkness Affinity, you'd really have a debuffing monster on your hand. Cool. Don't give me any ideas, right? Let me shut off some of these other toggles here so I'm not getting fake information. All right, so that's kind of the bulk as far as Dark Control. The last thing I want to say about Dark Control that is maybe its most important feature or most signature feature, although I would argue now it's actually the hit buff. But I'd say a lot of people who take Darkness Control are actually in it for the pets because you get two sets. You get Haunt and you get the Umber Beast. And so I want to take a look at both of these on City of Data because I suspect they're going to give us a decent chunk of damage, but also a bunch of debuffing. So the numbers that we can see right now on Haunts, which I've got slotted with Expedient Reinforcements, that's giving me some more types of damage resistance, some more damage buff, some recharge. So you can see overall kind of my overall plan as far as sets go. I'm looking after damage. I'm trying to get a bunch of damage resistance because I am going to be more aggressive, as I mentioned. So I'll be drawing more aggro, and I will be going into melee, not just because of Heart of Darkness, but I also mentioned Entangling Aura during the Challenger discussion that this is a PBAOE auto-hitting hold. So I might as well take advantage of it by going into melee. So between those two powers, plus Shadowfield being this bubble of hold, I can just walk in there and be super safe between the controls and then all the minus to hit that's flying around out there. But then I want to have some damage resistance in case I do start taking damage, especially from ranged attacks or something like that. But anyway, so now I've got Haunt, and they taunt. So when you drop these guys, a lot of people will take haunt and use it as an alpha strike. They'll drop it in the middle of an enemy, and then the enemy will go after it, which is fine. But I usually find that's sort of a waste because haunts kind of just get creamed against like really powerful enemies. I'd kind of much rather use my own powers like Fearsome Stare first, pin the enemies there with that, and with my Living Shadows. Now I've got them locked into place. They're debuffed with the hit. Then I can throw the haunts on them, and the haunts are going to go in there and start fearing them, which is going to stack with my fear, and the haunts have damage. So we'll take a look at what the haunts do. And then the other thing you also will see people are taking is Umber Beast, of course. That's your other pet that you have out there. And this guy's he's kind of annoying because he howls like non-freaking stop. Uh, and to be honest, it was a very underwhelming pet that they added. The Umber Beast. I remember a lot of dominators were especially really excited about, oh, new beast or whatever, or a new control pet. And then we got a mastermind wolf with or howler. There was basically the dire wolf model, I think it was, with some shadowy wisps around it. So a lot of people were pissed because all this brand new set came out for control, archetypes, and everyone's like, oh, excited, it's gonna be great. We're gonna get, what's the pet gonna look like? What's the pet? That's probably the biggest question people have when a new control set comes out is what is the pet gonna look like? And everybody's excited. What could it be? Some shadowy creature. And then you get a reskin of the four-legged model from the Mastermind set. It kind of smacked of laziness, as I recall. The discussion was, or the upset was back on the old forums, because the Mastermind Beast Mastery set had just come out recently before that, and they had all these new models of the four-legged stuff. And then all of a sudden, this new set comes out, and it's just a reskin of that. And people are like, "What the hell? I don't want to." What's a Umber Beast looks like a wolf and it's howling the whole time? Doesn't make any sense. And it also was very uh, pigeonholey as far as your theme. Also, now you've got what a shadow werewolf is what you are. Like it really kind of makes your character into something that maybe your build wasn't. Whereas a more nebulous, shadowy thing would have been more appropriate that you could have fitted into different ideas. Anyway, whatever. It is what it is. It's kind of an annoying pet, but it does do some decent damage, and it does do a bunch of debuffs. So I want to take a look at both of those sets, both those powers from the Dark Master. I'm going to go over here and let's take a look at it on City of Data. I find this is easier to use than trying to look at MIDS version of these little pop-outs here. So let's see, Darkness Control. Let me pull up the haunts. All right, here are the haunts. Can I zoom in on these guys? There you go. I have to zoom in a little bit. All right, so here is the pets. I'll go ahead and take a look. So let's see, why is there two different versions here? Is it one for each one? Do they do different stuff? Because all this other tags are over here. All right, well, let's click on the first one. So you're going to put this on. And so they do Shadow Punch. So they're melee. 31 damage for negative, 15 smashing. So this is what your damage enhancements are enhancing. And then that's everybody. This is PvP only, so ignore that. And then they also apply a 7.5% to hit debuff on top of their other stuff. Now, here's one thing I don't understand is if you look at the sets that these guys can take, you can kind of see it up here, but they only take the to hit debuff sets. They don't take, you guys can't really see it. The upper right corner, you can see the icon for it. They only take defense, or sorry, accurate. They don't take the accurate to hit debuff sets. They only take the to hit debuff sets. And that seems weird because they do attack, so shouldn't it be accurate to hit debuffs? And the reason I say that, or would want that, is because that would allow me to then put the Clouded Senses damage proc in these things, rather than the only proc that's in the regular to hit debuffs is Dark Watcher's minus recharge, I think, which, that's kind of hard to even quantify what benefit that it does. And it's really only useful if you have a bunch of other minus recharge you're able to stack with it, which Dark Control normally doesn't have. Anyway, then it has a Scare effect, which is a fear, so that's a mag 3, about 6-second fear. And this can be slotted for fear as well. So you can slot these guys for fear. So you could get a fear, I think, damage proc in them. All right, now I'm looking at here. Okay, so now it does show the accurate to hit debuffs up here. Well, that's weird. So when I looked at the actual stuff, it didn't show it. The attack, the punch, but then it does show it. All right, then it does have a taunt, mag 50 taunt. So they're definitely going to catch aggro, right? They actually pulled aggro off of your tank if you really want to use them for that purpose. So interesting, cute little pet, I guess, right? They don't have a lot of durability. I don't know if that shows their hit points or whatever. They are pretty squishy, and they kind of they zip around pretty fast if they get upset or scared or whatever. So they can cause aggro. You got to watch out for them. That I want to see that other power real quick. Scare. Scare. What's the range on scare? Does it say? Looking range. Is there a range on this thing? 60 feet. So yeah, these guys can get you into trouble because they are going to use essentially a mini, fear cone. They got a 60-foot range on a sphere. I'm not sure, is that single target? Let me see. Does it say? Accuracy is 1, cast time. It doesn't say that. Yeah, it's a single target. Okay. So it's going to fear. It's single target, but they could 60 foot just start, howling at somebody or screaming at somebody, trying to fear them. That then catches aggro, which can then bleed back to you. Resistance, they've got damage resistance 20%, just to smash lethal. Negative is 30, so not super survivable here. So I wouldn't count on them lasting very long. And then their duration is what, 60 seconds. So pretty good, right? You bring them out there for 60 seconds. They're using fear. They have a single target attack, punch. So if you can actually, I would say, if you can slot them for damage procs, it might be better off because they are only attacking with that punch. And the punch isn't doing a ton of damage from what I can tell. Double check that the shadow punch. Yeah, the damage is, about 46 or so unslotted. If you slot that up 100%, you're looking at double that. So, close to 100 damage per punch. I don't know how often they're going to swing at somebody. So, how great is that going to be versus getting some damage procs? I know the damage procs will be 47 damage per proc. So that's the equivalent of one of these punches. So if you could get a, couple damage procs in there, you would get the, even if the damage is unslotted, you're getting 47, let's say. And then you're procking, if you can get the to hit debuff damage proc, there would be 47. If you can get the, I think they'll take the fear set as well. Get the psionic in there. That could be interesting. So you could turn these into some decent damagers, but they're just kind of squishy. So is it worth it? I don't know. Or to use them, I have them kind of standard slotted. So I might rethink my slotting on this, as I'm just kind of speculating now. It's an interesting concept. Maybe I'll see how they do in the solo first, and then I'll think about respecking them later. But there's that. Then there's the Umber Beast. Take a look at this guy. Umber Beast, some of this is your big tier 9 pet. He's got Claw Rake, Vicious Bite, Umber Swipe, and Shadowy Bind. So he's got 4 attacks and a Fear Cone on top of everything else. So taking a look at the damage here, you've got your standard clawing. It's going to slash at somebody. So you've got some lethal damage that it's going to do, some negative damage that it's going to do. Then you've got Vicious Bite. That's going to do lethal and negative damage as well. Some decent numbers. Looks like it's got a little bit of... is that over time, it looks like? I think so. I mean, both those are single target, but I'm not seeing... or what I'm not seeing right now is any... to hit the buff. Umber Swipe. Same idea. Lethal, negative damage. This one, though, is a cone. And it says here that it's a 7-foot cone. And then it says that the target cap is 16. I would like to see you hit 16 targets with a 7-foot cone. I don't think that's physically possible. But all these powers are kind of doing the same thing. Lethal, negative. It looks like it has some DOT, but no minus to hit at this point. 2 single targets, 1 cone. So it's pretty good in melee if you get it into melee. Or I didn't go to town. Of course, that's going to be dangerous for it. Its resistance numbers, let's see how survivable it is. 25% smash lethal, 20% psionic, 50 to energy negative and toxic. And 15% to fire and energy, 35 to cold. So yeah, it's got a lot of damage resistances. That seems more than what the... Go double check those haunts. Maybe I didn't see all of their resistances here. Shades, resistances. Yeah, the shades, they've only got negative and smash lethal, but your Umber Beast has pretty much all of them. It's weird. All right, well, anyway, Umber Beast, so it seems going to be a bit tougher, obviously. And if you can get some of the, maybe the pet resistance, what you call it, sets on there, damage resistance, the procky ones, the uniques, that might be useful. Then let's see, Shadowy Binds. Hopefully there's some to hit the buff in this one. Yeah, all right, here it is. So then here's their ranged attack. Let's see what it says on here. Range. 80-foot range. Sheepers, creepers. So yeah, see, here's how these pets can get you into trouble. And this was kind of my one thought I'd mentioned about sleep powers. Like with plant control, I was saying having a sleep power doesn't really make too much sense when you've got pets with ranged attacks that are just going to attack and aggro and wake everything up anyway. Especially, I mean, check out this thing. It's got 80-foot range on its howl thing there. The Shadowy Minds. Immobilize, minus to hit, and fly. And it does do damage. So, you know, you're getting some damage as well. But it's got 22-second immobilize, mag 4. That's strong. Actually, I think that's stronger than yours out of the box. I think yours is only mag... it's single target. That's why. Okay. I thought this was a cone. All right, so it's only got a single target immobilize. All right, that's not that great. I thought it was a cone attack. Well, that's pretty much equivalent to what you've got. And then it's got minus fly, and then it's got negative damage, ticks, and then another 7.5%. So, you know, you're getting another 15 or so. I think each shade had a 7.5 total. So if they're all beating on the same target, hypothetically, you're looking at 22.5% more to hit the buff. Add that to the, what did I say, like 50-ish you were able to put together at that point. You know, so combined with your pets here, you're able to debuff 70-80% to hit, if my numbers are right. And that's not even necessarily trying that hard. You're just attacking. Let's say it's an AV. You can spam or direct all your critters towards one thing. That can add up. And then Terrifying Roar. This is the one that constantly howling. Here's some more minus hit. So I'm betting this. I wonder if this stacks. Yeah, so it looks like. All right, so your pet also has a ranged cone. So 50, this is the cone that can get you in trouble. So it's a 50-foot fear cone. Does damage as well. And it has its hit debuff. So this is the one as you get near enemies, it's just, oh, and just sprays them with fear. Boom, fight is on. You know, this is an issue I run into with just controllers in general, the exception of mind control. It's really hard for you as a controller to be the thoughtful alpha, if that makes sense. So in other words, you're leading the team and you're gonna make the alpha hit, but you're thoughtful. You're like, all right, let me see what's in front of me. Okay, this guy, you know, like you're trying to pick and choose your targets or where you're gonna throw a toggle or whatever or something like that. But as you're doing that, oh, your pet behind you's attacked somebody, right? And then boom, it's on. So it really makes it hard as a controller to do stuff like lead. I'm not saying you can't be a leader, but I'm just saying your AT, that AT is a bitch because of the controller pets going off. Imps are probably one of the worst. They go just hopping away, just attacking anything within sight that they don't like the look of. I'd say the only smart pet would be like gravity control. Your singularity hangs back pretty well. I think the symphony pet does as well, but a lot of the other pets are just going off. You know, howling and going crazy. So be aware of that when you're picking your control sets, that if you want to be controller and out front of your team, you need to be attacking immediately, like with minimal thought, like just go in because your pets are going to take that choice away from you quickly. Anyway, so take a look at that. Some more minus to hit. The overall slotting on this, just kind of looking again, it looks like you can put fear. So fear might be a good damaging proc because you have two powers that do it. One of them, which is a cone, so that could be interesting. I wouldn't damage proc necessarily the immobilize because it's only a single target. The accurate to hit debuff could be an interesting choice for that as well because you do have two powers that would proc that damage, and one's a cone and one's your single target there. So I mean, you could get some decent extra damage out of those two if you threw them in there. The what is it, Glimpse of the Abyss, and then the Clouded Senses. Those two damage procs. I think there's another Fear one too, maybe that, or maybe no, I don't think so. Anyway, you could get that. So you just again thinking out loud here. I'm not sure I'm going to make these moves or not, but I could see going Umber Beast over here, and rather than really focusing on sort of set bonuses, which is what I've done, is what if I were to more Frankenslot it. So right now I've got, what do we got here? Turn on the stupid pop-ups. Here they are. All right, like right now I've got the Call to Arms, and I'm getting recovery, hit points, recharge, some extra damage resistance. Then I have the bonus defense aura on this one. I almost might. I mean, I'm getting the resist aura over here with expedient reinforcement, and I believe this is for all your pets when you get these auras. All right, isn't that how that works? I think it's for all your pets that these two auras work. So anyway, that's giving these guys a little bit more survivability. But what I'm thinking is, wouldn't it make sense? Let's say you 6-slotted Umber Beast, and maybe you get the bonus aura as one. You put 2 damage procs in there. That's 3. Then your other 3 could be, you could pretty much 4-slot this with Call to Arms as an example. Like if you like that recharge bonus, which who doesn't? So what if you did that? What if you replaced one of these Call to Arms with one of the damage procs? I think even something simple like that should up this thing's DPS. I don't necessarily want to say significantly, but a decent chunk. Would that be more than, let's say, I don't know, what would I get rid of? Maybe the damage endurance one? I really don't need endurance on this because once you summon it, you know, you've spent your endurance on it. So you're not going to be summoning it every 5 seconds. So, you know, maybe get rid of the damage endurance. You're going to take a hit on damage overall, but you maintain all your accuracies, you know, because you need to hit. And then you go and throw in the Psi proc for Glimpse of the Abyss here. That could work. Interesting. Get some interesting ideas here, guys. Interesting freaking ideas. Or like I said, I like this one, the chance for a negative on the Clouded Senses. Hmm. Interesting. That's why I wish they had sets where that were like damage debuff ones. Like you got like damage slow as an example, right? But why aren't there like damage immobilize, damage fear, you know, damage whatever, right? You don't have any of that crap, right? But you got some of these others. Like, why do some sets get damage slash whatever, like endurance drain? There's like some damage endurance drain sets. There's some damage slow sets. Why not? You know, there's damage hold sets, right? I mean, well, actually, no. There's no like damage slash controls for the most part, and there's no like damage slash debuffs, like damage defense debuff. Wouldn't that be a cool set if they had those? You know, they have accurate defense debuff. They have accurate to hit debuff. Why not a set that has the accuracy, the damage, and the debuff cooked into it? That would be awesome. I'd be using those sets like nobody's business on a ton of my builds because I really like to enhance those debuff numbers if I can. Anyway, hey, homecoming group, if you're having to listen, you want to make my January New Year come true, there you go. That's what I would like to see. All right, so that, my friends, is Darkness Control. Lots of to hit, and I'm not super overslotted on damage on it, but I'm going to get some, right? I'm going to get it from my pets. I'm going to get it from my single targets, but I'm actually kind of speculating areas where I could get more damage. I could, you know, put some damage, a damage proc maybe in Living Shadows here, drop that recovery and just throw a damage, whatever proc in here, no big deal. I could put a damage proc here in Umber Beast. I wonder if that would be transformational, because it certainly was when I tweaked a few things around with plant control. So we'll have to wait and see, though, what the solo shows me. All right, then let's move on to Nature Affinity, the star of the show here, because that's what I really want to check, is comparing this to my defender, Screaming Tree, who's using Nature Affinity paired with his Sonic Blast and trying to leverage Sonic Blast minus resistance to debuff the crap out of the enemies in order to kill them faster. But then he's supporting the crap out of his team with all kinds of buffs. What did I do here with her? Because right now her controls are mainly debuffery, and then the controls kind of adding together to really just like lock down and neuter enemies. So what am I using the affinity set for here? Am I going to go all in on supporting my allies, or am I going to go more of, hey, buffing my pets and minimally slotting nature affinity, and I'm trying to focus more on the set bonuses. So let's see what I have here. So corrosive enzymes, I did take that. And it's probably, where did I put that stupid power? Corrosive enzymes, right here. Just single slotted a, 50 plus 5 corrosive enzyme accuracy, right? That's all you can really do for that power. I took it later in the set. You don't really need it early anyway, because you're not taking on super hard targets in the early levels. Regrowth, that's your heal. I got the forward facing. I've got a set of doctored wounds in there, some more resistances. So just looking at my sets, you can see I'm stacking up a bunch of damage resistance everywhere that I can. So I got more there. Wild growth, there's your PBAOE, burst resistance and regen. That one I've got slotted with an unbreakable guard set. You're getting endurance discount. You're getting some more damage resistance. You're getting some defense on that one. What are the numbers on this guy? It's going to give us 16% of damage resistance. I think on my defender was 20-ish. So, about a, whatever, 5-10% difference between the two. But that's what I've got slotted there. Then we're looking at wild growth. Sorry, just did wild growth. Spore cloud. There's my toggle debuff. I don't have it as heavily slotted, I don't think, as my defender did. Got dampened spirits in there, some more damage, some endurance, some more damage resistance again. So again, you're seeing that theme, trying to get some damage, trying to get some damage resistance everywhere. The numbers on that guy, damage debuff is 22. The to hit debuff is 21.6. Then we've got our next candidate here is your life-giving spores. That one I've got a little bit Frankenstein, a preemptive optimization, because this thing does boost endurance. I just don't know if this was worth it, because I didn't realize it was that crappy as far as an endurance buffing power. I believe it's only 1% out of the box. So as you're standing in it, it's popping 1% endurance every whatever second and a half or something like that. So is that going to make or break a team? And I've got it slotted up for 1.5%. Is that really making a huge difference for your team? Even if you slotted this thing for total endurance recovery, right? What the best you'd get would be like 2. It's sometimes like when they have powers that are that weak, it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, why even have that slottable? At least make it worthwhile. Make it a base 3% or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I do have it 2 slotted. It is giving me some extra endurance. But I could see pulling these 2 out and just going with maybe a couple more Panaceas throw in there. Because I do have the Panacea that does have the proccable plus endurance. So that's the other interesting thing you can do with it. So this thing will proc a 7.5% endurance boost to everybody standing in it, including myself. It'll also proc heals 78, so you'll see that for everybody as well. So I could use it more as a just pure healing over here, because it is ticking 12 heal, 12.18, I think every second and a half. So yeah, I don't know if that's worth it. Maybe throw a couple of I'm trying to think what else I could do that would make it a little more useful. I don't think transfer absorb would really matter there. If I did the other 2 Panaceas, it would give me regen and hit points. Maybe. Maybe just throw in some doctored wounds in there. Get some more resistance to smash lethal. Miracle. recovery, harmonize. Just see if there's any like 2-slot bonuses that would be worthwhile in here. Maybe the power transfer, because that should then proc the chance to self-heal to me. I don't think that one procs for your allies. I believe only this one here, the Panacea, does, because this is a PvP set, and the PvP sets I think were designed to proc through like these auras in order to benefit your allies, but I don't believe that's true for a non-PvP set like Power Transfer, but it could benefit me. It's all about me. No, 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 no. I don't know. Whatever. I'll leave it like it is for now. It is what it is. It's kind of hard to slot this power, I think, unless you're just going straight heals on it. So that might be just 4-slot it with Panaceas might be your better option than even bothering with these two. It depends on the endurance issue, because obviously I was trying to get some endurance out of that power. And then Haunt, I've got the Expedient Reinforcement. Already mentioned that one. Wild Bastion, I've got this one coming up next. This is your other clickable burst from your Nature Affinity. I've got that one slotted with Doctored Wounds, Smash Lethal, Fire Cold Resistance, plus some healing. The recharge in this one is what? Got that at 124 seconds. So every 2 minutes it's going to fire, and it lasts for 1 minute. So it's basically up a minute, down a minute. And then Shadowfield, we're going to talk about that. Umber Beast, Entangling Aura. Here you go. This is the other one from Nature. I already mentioned this a couple times now. You can see what I did with this one. This is, I think, an interesting idea. Because I put a winter set in here, the Superior Entomb. And the reason for that is it has this absorb proc. And yes, it does fire. So if you are just standing around and you start hitting enemies, that will trigger the absorb proc. I think it's like 181 absorb or something. I got the Superior Entomb here. It's giving me resistance to fire cold. It's giving me resistance to minus speed, minus recovery. Minus recharge. Give me recovery. It's giving me defense. I also have that other winter set in Heart of Darkness, which was similarly giving me resistance to movement, debuffs, fire cold, recovery, etc. So these two are stacking up with the the elemental damage and the slow resistances. Then I've got my last power is Overgrowth. I got that 4-slotted, the adjusted targeting, some damage, some resistance to energy negative, and some accuracy. So again, more damage, more resistance, as many places I can get it. And that's the end of Nature Affinity. So I think you can see overall, I did not heavily slot Nature Affinity. The only Nature Affinity power I have 5-slotted is Entangling Aura. So that fits my suspicion as I was going through this build. I was not making this character a buffer supporter type thing. She can buff and support. She has the powers to, but she's much more probably 60-40 control, maybe 70-30 control versus buffing. But I think that's kind of the way a controller should play anyway. You are a controller first and a supporter second. The question we're asking with this series is, do those two mesh to make you better than a defender who is, buffing first, blasting second? All right, then we're going to go to our last thing is what are our other powers? I went sorcery because I did want to dip into some additional support. So I grabbed Spirit Ward, but really this is more for my pets, right? I'll put this on my Umber Beast because this character can solo a heck of a lot more better than, let's say, my Electrical Affinity Ostara can. I'm almost guaranteeing that. So I have more support for my pets here with Nature Affinity, right? I can lay down the stuff after pinning things in place with my controls. Then my pets, my pets are in there. I throw Spirit Ward on them. Rune of Protections for myself, Mez Protection. Then I have the Flight power, Mystic Flight. I actually will fly around most missions with this character, so she's going to play similarly style-wise to what I was doing with Screaming Tree, who's going to be, kind of above the fray, laying down some smack. She too can do it. It's just that Mystic Flight is a little bit harder to control because you have that momentum floating that you do, and you move a lot faster than hover, so it's harder to do it in combat. Combat jumping for, pretty much just the extra defense, and I ended up grabbing the global resistance on that one. You guys can't see it; it's off the screen here, but I got the shield wall over here. and that's giving me the teleport resistance and the global 5% resist on this one. I mean, this build overall is more expensive than my defender. It's so, quote unquote better. I have the, Rune of Protection has the Gladiator's armor in it, global defense protection. So I'm going more for survivability on this character, personal survivability, than I am with Screaming Tree, who's actually more Buffy supporting in mind. So it'll be an interesting dichotomy to investigate here. A buffing attacking defender who's more about the team and supporting the team versus a more selfish, self-centered controller. Control the enemy, debuff the enemy, and care about my pets and myself more than if somebody's dying over there. Too bad. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in real time. Because I don't know if I'm going to try as hard on this character to keep allies alive. Because Electric Affinity lends itself to trying to save enemies because it's reactive and you're clicking and you're targeting and you're healing and you're giving endurance, you're giving damage. This is more like I explode a buff, it's going to last for 60 seconds, drop it a patch, good luck, see ya, and then I go do my thing. Okay? If you're taking a bunch of damage somewhere, don't expect this character to fly over there and throw your regrowth on you. It ain't going to happen. Okay? You'll get lucky if I throw the spirit ward on you. I will do that. If I see someone on the team's taking a lot of damage all the time, then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and throw that on them. But beyond that, you're out of luck. All right, then last but not least, we got Dark Mastery as my final epic set here. Let me scoot this up so we can see what's going on with Dark Mastery and also get into the incarnates that are down there. So let's see what's left with this build. So Dark Mastery, I got my shield, fire, cold, energy, negative. So I like Murky Cloud because it does have a wide variety. Of those, cold is the least useful because there's not as much cold damage being thrown around there in my experience than the others. Fire is pretty popular. Energy is pretty popular. Negative is pretty popular if you're going to be fighting against Council, which a lot of people are doing if they're running radio missions. Council's like the biggest, enemy group. Dark Blast, it gives me another single attack option. So I've got Dark Grasp, I've got Shadowy Binds, now I have Dark Blast, and I've mentioned this before. I think any character needs a 1, 2, 3 attacks, single target, and here it is. Dark Blast, I do have another winter set here, giving me more fire cold resistance, give me some more of that resistance to movement speed and get some recovery in here. I didn't, do anything beyond that. I didn't have any extra slots to throw like a proc in here or whatever else. So it's slotted up pretty well though. I mean, you're capped at your accuracy and damage with the superior versions I have here. And then I've got Umbral Torrent, which is another attack. So this is a cone. It kind of fits with the rest of my stuff. So I've got, Living Shadows as a cone. I've got my Fearsome Stare as a cone. Well, now Umbral Torrent is also a cone. It's a 60-foot range. Let's compare that to Fearsome Stare, which is 70 feet. Living Shadows is 60 feet. So these things are all pretty close to each other in terms of range. Umbral Torrent, it's going to be right up there, 30-foot arc. I am going after a knockdown set with the knockback to knockdown because Umbral Torrent will send guys flying, and I don't want that. Normally I'm not, hey, whatever, something goes flying, I don't care, but I don't want that. I want stuff to stay put because I'm going to have a shadow field laying out there. I'm going to have, my Fearsome Stare, Living Shadows having things pinned, my Haunts, and, my Umber Beast are going to be in there fighting. I don't want to be scattering stuff all over the map and then go, crap, now they're out of my range, or now my pets are chasing them, or whatever else. So I did not go for knock back. I wanted knock down. So that's why I slotted this for movement speed, endurance, more damage buffing, some more hit points on that one. The damage overall is a little bit light on it, but it's going to contribute. Once I hit some of that, you get containment. It'll be decent. It's more of a control-y kind of a thing anyway. So I've got that knocking stuff down. You've got people getting scared. You can kind of see this combo starting to come together now, right? Like Fearsome Stare, you fear them. Living Shadows, you immobilize them. Then you hit them with Umbral Torrent, they go flopping down on the ground. And as they're getting up, you can swoop in there because you're flying. Heart of Darkness, as people are standing up now, that knocks them down again because I have that proc in there, the Avalanche proc. And they've been stunned. My Entangling Aura starts to put in work, hooking and booking them right there. I can drop Shadow Field right on top of us to have even more holds. I have Living Spores is keeping us alive right underneath there. I've Spore Clouded the toughest enemy in the group, so that's not gonna, concern me. Right? I've got lots of ways in order to stay alive, keep the enemies down and out. And it's all gonna add together, hopefully, to be a beautiful symphony of destruction. And then Soul Consumption is my last power. And this one, man, I like it. Who doesn't, right? Plus maximum hit points, maximum endurance. Foe, it lowers their max HP and lowers their max endurance. So this could be a nice, like against an AV or something like that. But the problem is, um, well, there's a couple problems. First of all, as an AV, killer, it's sort of wasted because you can hit multiple targets with this thing. So why save it just for a single target? Because the more foes you hit with it, take a look at the description here. The more foes you hit, the stronger the effect. So you want to hit multiple people, right? So kind of saving it as a minus max HP minus max endurance against a hard target is kind of like wishful thinking. And you're not getting the benefits. But then here's the other thing. Check this out. Like the recharge, 1,000 seconds. Who hit the shit before they came up with that? 1,000 second recharge? This thing isn't like God mode. My freaking incarnates are recharging faster than this thing. So why are there powers in this game that are like non-incarnate that are longer charging than your more powerful things? Like, barrier, for instance. What's the recharge? I do have barrier. What's the recharge on barrier? Recharge 120 seconds. Are you telling me, Devs, answer this question, please. Are you telling me that over soul consumption here, this plus hit points, plus endurance, foe minus max HP, minus max endurance is more powerful than barrier, which is giving gobs of defense and resistance to every ally within that huge radius of 60 feet and rezzing two people? Really? This is a 120 second recharge. You got 1,000 seconds on this one. What is this power doing that's so deadly? That's what I don't understand here, right? What is it doing? It's a minus 60% recharge. I guess that could be the big thing that it does. Minus 1% endurance. What does that even mean? I'm gonna look this up on City of Data because I'm not I don't get it. What is this power doing? Soul consumption here that is so freaking crazy powerful that it needs to be on such a long recharge. That's what I want to know. All right, let's pull it up. I got it here. Pull up. See the data. Here we are. All right, soul consumption. This is for controller. So, you're going to get 220% max endurance minus 220% max endurance. Okay, that's pretty beefy. I think if it hits, sure. Healing, you're gonna get a heal. Okay. You get max heal of 40%. You're lowering their maximum hit points by 40. Like if that's all, I mean, an AV is that unless that's a percent, which it ain't, right? You're lowering the maximum hit points. Like of all these things, what's the most deadly thing like you could do to a tough enemy? Right here, these two, right? Hit points and regen. They don't care about endurance. That's irrelevant to an arch villain. So 40 hit points, that's nothing for an AV. AV's got, what, 10,000? I don't even know. Way more than that. Regen, this is the only thing that this power, you could say, wow, that's pretty deadly. But I'm going to show you this one. So minus 60% regen for 60 seconds, right? Ooh, that's pretty devastating. Maybe that's why it's on such a long recharge. Okay, great. Let's look at something else that has minus regen. Howling Twilight, minus 3,000 regen for 30 seconds. And the recharge on this is 180 seconds. So if the whole big fear of soul consumption is, wow, you could really neuter an AV with it. No, look what I can do with Howling Twilight. I've done this with Howling Twilight. I use this all the time on AVs or anybody really. It's up so often I use it as an offensive attack. So again, there's stuff like this in the game that I don't understand. Dark Consumption is another one that that plus endurance power, that's like on a 600-second timer or something. I'm like, why? Why are these powers on such long time? They're not like game breaking. So maybe we could lower this to 600 seconds and give it a try and see if that makes a difference. And that's why I'm looking at myself going, wait, why did I take this power again? I mean, it sounds cool on paper, but now that I look at the recharge, I'm going, man, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Now, I guess maybe the fear is, oh, if you got enough recharge, you could make it like perma, I suppose. But, again, what other powers that are perma in the game are are stronger than this? I mean, there's a bunch out there that you can perma the crap out of. Phantom Army, anybody? I mean, come on. Meanwhile, soul consumption, like, oh my god, I'm gonna have a bunch of max hit points. I would say instead of nuking this or worrying about this thing's recharge and making it so high that you can't permit, why don't just lower the overall numbers a little bit? Knock them down 20% or something, so that it's at least usable. Like, why do we have powers in the game that are literally usable once in an entire mission? Like 1,000 seconds. What is that in minutes? What's 1,000 divided by 60? Okay, let's do the math on that one because my brain's not functioning right now. But I wanna know what is 1,000 divided by 60 seconds. All right, hold on. 1,000 divided by 60. That's 16 and 2/3 minutes. That's like the average length of a mission, let's say. So you're saying this thing is so powerful, you should only have it once per mission. Ooh, scary. Meanwhile, I'm barriering the frick out of things. I'm unleashing my judgment powers, like Void Judgment. What's the recharge on Void Judgment? 90 seconds. I'm unloading voids every other group. I'm barriering every couple groups. Please, those powers are way more powerful and game breaking than something that's your epic set and it's like your tier 5 epic set. You got to be 44 to pick this thing, but you can only use it once per mission if you're lucky. Doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. And if somebody can explain it to me, I would appreciate it. Well, anyway, there is the main build. Now, off that tangent, let's wrap this up. What about the sets here for incarnates am I looking for? So to figure that out, let's see where we're at number-wise, totals. Let me do a little pop out here so we can zoom in on what's going on. So here's where we're at right now. We know we have a ton of minus to hit, and we know I have some really solid control. What we could use is maybe some more damage. We could use some more recharge to get some things back up, and we also could have some more survivability, just given that I think we're going to be going into melee a lot. So if you take a look at our raw numbers right now with just the basic toggles activated, no incarnates, no clickable whatevers at this point. We got, we're just flying around. We got combat jumping on. We got murky cloud and entangling aura. That's it. This is what our numbers looking at right now. Defense is not that great, single digit, double digit. This is not going to save you. But check this out. I'm already capped on fire and cold. That's in part due to the 3 winter sets I have, plus murky clouds also give me some fire cold resistance. So I'm already capped here. That's pretty good. And then energy negative is pretty strong. Smash lethal's pretty low. So I definitely would like to get some more numbers here if I can. I will get some with wild growth. So if I click wild growth, you can see those numbers jump up. Okay, so wild growth is going to be a useful tool here, but it's not perma. What are the actual numbers on wild growth here? Wild growth recharge is 117, duration 90. So we're down about 30 seconds or so between clicks. Again, it's not perma. It's pretty close, but not perma. All right. So we want to get some more numbers if we can. So let's say we've clicked that. We're up here. Wild Bastion is going to give us some absorb and heal over time. Let's see if that affects any of our numbers here. It's not going to directly impact anything we can measure other than, give us some more healing going. Life-giving spores, if that's activated, that'll give us some additional endurance and healing. See if that affects our numbers at all. Gives us a little bit endurance drain because I'm actually running a new toggle, so that is something to be concerned. This is the big concern right here. Endurance drain versus recovery. So if I have, let's say, Spore Cloud toggle on. All right, check it out. If that's on, if Spirit Ward is on, let me do this. Let me see if this is an issue. Let me turn on my toggles. All right, so right now I've got I'm flying, Mystic Flight. I've got, let me scoot this down. I got that toggle running. I've got Spore Cloud and Life Giving Spores toggles are on. And I don't think this toggle costs me anything. No, that's Rune of Protection. All right, so if I have my life-giving spores buff toggle, if I've got my Spore Cloud debuff toggle, and I'm flying, okay, if I have those on, Entangling Aura's running, Murky Cloud's running, Combat Jumping's running, I'm bleeding out. 217 versus 3. Yeah, I'm recovering a little bit faster, but no, this is terrible. I always want, I've said this 1,000 times now, I want a bare minimum of a 2-to-1 ratio. I want twice as much recovery to end drain because right here I can tell this character will run out of endurance really fast as soon as I start clicking some attacks. So boom, I need to help that. That's why I was going with some of the recovery numbers you saw. So that's definitely, oh, that's also why, in hindsight, hey, what's up with soul consumption? If I hit with soul consumption, then this will definitely give me some of that endurance back that I could use. But it's not going to help my recovery numbers. And it's on such a glacial recharge, it's really not very useful as a endurance saving my butt power. The one power that will help is in this one. So overgrowth, when I click overgrowth, that takes me down to something manageable, 1-3. But the problem on overgrowth, I bet, is my recharge. Recharge and overgrowth is 121, and it's up for 60 seconds. So I'm going to have 60 seconds of not overgrowth. So that is, of course, meaning that these numbers are more often than not going to look like this. Okay, great. So that's a problem. So I'd like some more resistance numbers if I can get it. Rune of Protection will give me some. If I click that, actually gives me a decent chunk. Gives me like 18, 17%, some of that 18% damage resistance with Rune of Protection fired up. So that's a nice thing. But again, it's not all the time. The numbers recharged are 180 seconds on Rune of Protection. What's the duration of Rune of Protection? Does it say? Gosh, you're going to make me look it up again. Why do you tease me like this? Why? Let me go over to CD data. 1 second. All right, I just looked it up. It's 60 seconds. And I don't think you could affect the recharge. I think it's one of those powers that... Let me see. Can you put recharge in this one? No. So Rune of Protection does not take recharge. Okay, so boom, 180 seconds of recharge. It's only on for 60 seconds. I got 2 minutes of not having all of that damage resistance. So again, more often than not, my numbers are not going to be great like this. They're going to look like this. So those are a couple areas I'm looking at in my head right now. Going, man, I sure hope I can get some endurance reduction, get some damage resistance. One of the things I know I could do might be cardiac would help with that. But let's see what I ultimately ended up choosing with this build, because maybe I need to rethink my incarnates. But let's see. I went with intuition because Intuition Alpha, this is the all-in on control stuff. So here, let me close my pop out here. So Intuition, hold duration, defense debuff, which is not going to help me, range, which will help all my attacky powers, to hit debuffs, damage output, and slow movement. So damage is definitely nice. Slow. Do I even have any slows? I don't think I have any slow. I don't think anybody think I do slows anything. So I'm definitely not getting everything out of this, but it's going to help my controls. It's going to help my debuffs, holding and to hit debuffs, and going to increase my damage output. So this is more of a control-y, damagey, want to take things out. It's not helping my weaknesses over here. But maybe I don't really need to worry about the weaknesses because I got so much to hit debuff out there. Maybe I'm not going to worry about it too much. Then I got Assault Radial. Well, guess what? I'm going damage again, so this is going to increase my damage output. The chance for double hit, you get a passive, I think, 6% damage boost. So if taking a look at those two numbers, let's see if that does something like Shadowy Binds here. Let me shut them off for a second here. Let me turn all this stuff off. All right, so here's Shadowy Binds. Right now, pop-out window. Shadowy Binds, as is doing 60 damage, 63. If I get containment, I'm doubling that to 127. If I have my alpha slotted, I'm up to 144. If I have assault clicked, I'm up to 168, basically. So that is definitely going to help my damaging issue because I did not slot for heavy damage on some of my powers. Like Living Shadows, the same idea. Living Shadows goes from pretty pitiful damage of 14, and now when I have Containment, it takes it up to 28. Intuition is going to take me up to 36. The Assault is going to take it up to 43. So much better, damage numbers there. So I'm definitely going damage, damage, damage so far, and control. Void, I'm going with the radial. That gives me minus damage, so that'll help with some mitigation. It'll also increase my damage output, right? Reactive core, again, I'm like, F my own safety. I'm going for more damage. So I'm going reactive core minus resistance and fire. So again, damage output is going to increase some more. Let's check it. I'm like, F my own self-protection. Kill. Barrier. Here's my self-protection, guys. All right, so, oh my god, dude, you're going to die. Barrier. Boom. Barrier solves all of my resistance and defense needs, right? And for standard, 54 content, the fact that this thing is up every 2 minutes is plenty, right? I've used this with, I think Ostara had this as well. So I'm going to rely upon that. But man, I might playing with fire. I'm going to admit, man, this character's making me nervous the more I'm looking at her. Trying to scratch my head, what was I thinking? I definitely did not play it safe with this character. This character is built to attack, control, destroy. That's pretty much what they're doing. And the barrier is gonna be my one safety. I don't have any mez protection outside of I've got the rune of protection. So when I have rune of protection clicked, that'll keep me protected. So I do have patches of safety. I've got patches of I'll be pretty much untouchable, and then patches of time where I'm going to be, I'm going to be in trouble. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out on a team. I think solo it's actually more dangerous. I'm going to have to destroy quickly. That's pretty much what I'm going for. I've got extra damage boosting. I got minus resistance from my incarnate stuff down here. I've got my pets attacking. I've got the controls controlling. I think I'll be fine on the incoming damage just because I've got Spore Cloud. I've got the minus to hit. I got the barrier. The mez is a little bit concerning. The rune of protection is good, but it's not perma by any chance. The area that concerns me the most is my endurance, because I have crap this 1.5 to 1 ratio here. So I think I'm not going to be toggling up as much. I'm not going to be flying around that often. So if I drop my Mystic Flight, that actually cuts a decent chunk. Now that's a little more realistic. I don't think I'm going to be Spore Clouding as much as I'd like to. So if I turn off Spore Cloud and don't fly around a bunch, I have a manageable situation here. I have my 2 to 1. But if I'm going into full on, debuff the enemy, stay away from the enemy, I'm going to kind of be locking myself into a non-attacking, situation here. I'm going to have to rely upon, clicking overgrowth. Overgrowth definitely solves part of that problem. So I think overall the build is risky, but if my powers are clicked in a timely fashion, like overgrowth solves the problem. Boom, no biggie now. So it's going to be very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Peaks and valleys, I think. I think I'm going to have lots of ups and downs. I'm going to have a lot of times when things are great and in times when things get a little bit scary. And it's just going to be a matter of power maintenance. When do I click what? On a team, I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal, because if I have anybody else on the team that's contributing any endurance, but again, I'm only playing the sole buffer on a team, so it won't be as easy as, I got a kinetics on the squad with me. Sure, if I do that, this person's going to be like a freaking monster. But I'm not going to have it for these tests. So that's where it'll be an interesting set of data I'm going to collect here. Again, I'm not super concerned. I think she's got plenty of control and debuff for survivability. It's just a matter of maintaining fire, and that's why I think I went with the extra damage, so that I don't have to spend so much time just, fire, 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 and bleeding out endurance. I think I'll be able to damage things quickly enough and have my pets take out whatever's left. That it should be fine. Should be. Knock on wood. All right, well, I think I think that sums it up, guys. I think we're done with our presentation of this build. The only thing left to do now, my friends, is to go ahead and run a quick solo mission. So if you bear with me, you want to see the results of that, stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a second, and then I'm going to fire up a just some basic council. I'm going to run it at level 50 times 4, like I've done with my previous 3, and see what happens. See if I do need to do a little bit of respeckery before I go ahead and run this character through their paces and the teams. All right, let me pause. We'll catch you in a minute or so. All right, we are back, and we're going to run the solo mission here with our good friend Fey Wode. We're going to take a look. Here she is in her glorious dark Fey costume, running the aforementioned entangling aura. Little swirling purpley vines around her. And she's going to go ahead and summon some pets. Ooh, we've already got multiple bogeys. Look at this. Juicy, juicy targets. Boom. Summon the Umber Beast. There it is. Let the barking and howling begin. Get out our little Fey pet. You can't summon your haunts right away. You have to use them as a targeted attack. I think I'm just going to pull out my frickin' talons now. I didn't mention them in the lead up here, but might as well get them out. Might as well just effing start unleashing. Gonna put them on aggressive. We're gonna juice everybody up. All right, guys, let's do it. Let's try a knockdown first. Everybody's feared. Oh, come on. Every effing time. This is no way. Oh, he's wrecking my diviner. How dare you? I mean, the guy was dead. All right, so there you go. Not too shabby. Let's start killing some more dudes. Forgot to bring my haunts out. Oops, not that way. Go this way. This is gonna be the what, that center room. Oh, all right. There's our friends, the galaxies. Let's start with this group here. Let's get in there. The shadow field down. Not the way I wanted it to go, but you can see how the entangling aura just like stops people dead. Get the haunts out here. No, no, no. That was effing BS again. Sick everything on this guy. Go away. Let's barrier up for this group. The other thing you do is preemptively put your patch out. Like that. Go here. Throw this debuff toggle out. Fear him. Nice, I got the overpower fear on that boss. course, we're all going to get rezzed repeatedly. There's the knock up from Avalanche proc. Don't want to get sucked by that guy if I can avoid it. Held. Oh no, it's not good. The hell held me, that guy? Alright, let's shut off my little patch aura here. It's like fighting these guys 6 times in a row. Rezzing is so awesome. So my boss is holding her own here. Alright, everybody's dead. Nice. Move on. Alright, so, you know, I think a little bit slower killing than my defender was doing, but again, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's got blasts. She doesn't. Get some more juice here. Let's buff up. Let's run in there, nuke, see what happens. Forgot to detoggle my patch, buff patch. All my pets are gone except for my main one. Pull out the haunts. Let's throw out my control again. Get even more holds going. Line these cones up. Just drop a nuke. So here's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Like, I can just keep spamming that void judgment like it's nobody's business. Meanwhile, I can't do soul consumption, whatever the hell it is, but every 15 minutes or whatever. It's ridiculous that the thing has such a long recharge. I think a lot of this kind of goes to the old mentality of the game, and it just needs to go. Especially in the world of incarnates. Gotta remember to detoggle my buff patch. Let's try this way. This looks promising. Let's pin with fear. Then knockback. Go in there and nuke. And I'm really worried that I used all of those controls because they recharge pretty quickly. I'm not worried about not having something for the next group. Let's get some more control out, or buff out. Of course. Get some transformations going. I'll tell you, I haven't noticed the endurance issue that I was concerned about at this time. I'm not sure exactly why, if it's just because I've got the stand in the patch most of the time. Just something. Great. Res. Another res. I'll tell you, I might go with the the other option in Dark Mastery is the punch. What is that? Shadow Maul, maybe? What is it? Midnight Grasp. That has a immobilize attached to it as well. So I could use just something while I'm standing there, punch somebody in the face with it, as opposed to the soul consumption thing that it just doesn't recharge fast enough. Okay, don't get frisky, pet. All right, this reminds me of that room we're in my team video with Ostara and company. We had this similar situation with the Malta. Let's do this. Hold on. Get these guys under control. That control in there. I'm gonna bring this wolf up here if I can get him with the the spore cloud. All right, so I can stand here for the most part without much fear. They're gonna have some fear in a second. I like to just be able to stand here and maintain control without paying attention because of the entangling aura. Yes, yes, transform for me, big boy. Done. It's done. It's all over. All right, we got a group over here. Not sure Moraine's in here. I would assume he is, but don't know. I didn't pay attention. All right, so anyway, I'm going to preemptively place the buff patch out here because I'm about to go in there. Let's get this guy juiced up. Oh, the other thing I got to remember to do is put my spirit word on the pup. Take a couple preemptive skittles. Fear. Debuff or knockback. Immobilize. Pop them up. Okay, kind of stand back here. The haunts out there. Get ready to nuke. So you can see why I went with the more damaging interface and assault hybrid, because I definitely could use the damage. Again, big old knockup. I love the knockup from Avalanche on that power. Okay, kill this guy already. Be nice. He's only level 50s, mind you. If this was 54s, I'd be here all day. I don't think I'd lose containment on them. I've got them pretty much locked down, but... Okay, now I'm starting to feel the endurance. Because this fight is dragging on so long. I think I definitely could use some of those damage procs. Let's chip in a little bit. Alright, let's go around this way. Let's see if this boss is even over here. Let's see, Archon, Moron. There's Archon in there somewhere. No, I don't think he's even in this room. Great. Great. Alright, got a bunch of dudes. I'm gonna pin them with fear. So I'm gonna target the guy in the back. Let's buff for a second. Fear them, then knock them back, I think. So even though a bunch of them shot at me, the amount of debuff I had thrown out with the fear seems to have spared me from... I don't even think I've got hit. I think you could probably work this set to have a little bit more defense as well. Would probably work nicely with your to hit debuffing. All right, boss is not in here. Come on, doggy. Let's go this way. Maybe over here. I don't know if there's even a door to the right or not. This could be one of those maps where... All right, don't get frisky. All right, here's the other thing we'll do. I'm going to go ahead and send in the haunts first. Let's show you how that works. All right, so they're taking aggro. Then I follow in with fear. I can see that they took a bunch of damage. I can always heal them up again. All right, look, my consumption's back. Let me get some. Now, that's only going to last me like a minute, so... Is it worth waiting 15 minutes to get a minute worth of action? Position for the cones. Okay. I don't want any of these guys wolfing out if I can avoid it. Take me another 10 minutes to kill them. Of course. Yeah, let's res, because, you know, I got all freaking day for this. Start pounding on this guy. There we go. Alright. See if anybody gets up. Of course. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they get up? So much fun when they get up. There we go again. Let's add 30 seconds to the fight. Alright, he's down. He's out. Let me pause a second. I gotta answer the phone call real quick. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Let me go find this stupid Archon. Not here. See, it's maps like this or situations like this where it confirms my belief when I was talking about this in the final verdict that time, you really can't use time as a direct metric of, you know, anything really. Because, you know, you might, how much time do you spend on a map just running around looking for stuff? Or lost or whatever. So I think this makes more sense to do what I've been doing, to kind of use time and the number of teammates you happen to be with as a factor, but not the factor. So using it as a denominator to calculate the rate at which you're doing stuff makes more sense, because that'll help uniformize, whatever, smooth out the lumps of missions that happen to be, you know, spread out like that. Like some are going to be lumpy in the sense of you have a lot of more of running around kind of stuff, and others will be much smoother. But if you take that across all 5 and just did not divide by the time, it should linearize that, so to speak. All right, let me do this. I'm going to go in here and just frickin' throw them down. Fear their ass. Okay. This guy's on aggressive. Alright, let's get some more control out here. Enough with the frickin' rezzing. I think the award for worst change to the game goes to the Council. Galaxy rezzing. Can we just have them explode for a bunch of damage instead of getting back up? I could be okay with that if it was kind of like the exploding corpse bomb that War Shades can do. That would be interesting. I don't know. Something, because this whole getting back up crap is enough. If it was like once or twice here and there, but if every group is doing it multiple times, it's ridiculous. Fear. Knockdown. Immobilize. Barrier. Nuke. Nice. Don't get up. Don't get up. Don't get up. Great. Oh, shit. Hold on. 1 second, guys. Let's buff up real quick. Let's get everybody juiced. Give you that. Throw these guys in there. Chase it with my own fear. What's great is I don't have to spend a bunch of time like healing pets and stuff. They're pretty hardy so far. Crushed. Rezer. He's down. Nice. God, I'm having flashbacks to that Malta mission with these maps. Alright, guys, let's get in there. Let's see, I want to go and get some control in the back area here. So let me target these guys. We're going to go for fear. Here, hit them. I'm going to go in and hold. Nuke. Hefty. That was beefy. Finish that boss before it's too late. He's down. Get this thing. Down. Nice. Buff. Alright, now we got this effing boss. Come here, you jackass. There you are. Candy, eat. Get up there and fear his ass. Fear all of you. Put my rune on. Get our hit point buff. It's a hit buff. Drop some nukes. Finish this boss off quickly would be nice. Throw some cones in that direction. I lost my pets. Lore pets are down. Okay, the boss is down. Let's get this guy held. Get another nuke out here. Get that guy down. Let's get this guy held. Get him killed would be nice. He's down. He's out. You're still alive? There's got to be a group down below. Okay, I'm going to pull them up this ramp. Better angle here. As long as these dumb monsters of mine don't go attacking. Seriously, Umber, why'd you go down there? Where's my freaking beast? It's behind. See, oh, he's under me. Alright, let me drop this here. Get this up. I don't even know what's behind me. It's your rockets. It always seems like the boss room is the anticlimactic room. Alright, well, there you go. That's the end of it. So it didn't take that long. I don't know. 12 minutes or something like that. But that's it. That's her solo. Notice she really had no problem containing the enemy, keeping them locked down into a position. That's what I meant by pinning them when I was talking about the build. I have, the fear cone. I've got the knockback cone. I got the immobilized cone. I can like 1, 2, 3 of those. Or I can dive in there. I've got Heart of Darkness. I can drop the haunts in there. I can drop Shadowfield. And this is what I meant when I was talking about plant control. People talk about it being super control-y. I don't think so. What does plant control have that would compare to all that? You've got creepers, which arguably do a buttload of damage. Actually no argument with me, but they're not controlling anything. They're just flopping around. Yeah, they draw a lot of aggro, so they're more like just throwing a tank in the middle of the fight. So I would say that's control, and it's on a pretty long recharge. So and then they're slow to follow you around. So once you drop them one place, it takes them a little while to get behind you to get to the next group. With this dark control, you've got control in spades. I can throw out multiple controls on one group because I know they're going to be up and ready for the next group anyway, so I don't really care if I used it. Where plant, I feel like, man, if I use vines here, I'm not going to have it. If I use creepers here, I'm not going to have it next fight. And then I'm just down to seeds. And seeds, of course, the trick to that is lining it up properly and lining up deep, getting everybody. Seeds is OP. It does do what it's supposed to do. But you also notice on my team missions with seeds, and this isn't really a critique of seeds or whatever else, but just kind of control issues in general, is just, when I had it and couldn't use it because I was too busy just being in buff mode, that sucked. Whereas even if I'm in a buff mode on this character, I feel like with my Shadowfield, I can just drop it anyway, whether I'm buffing it's, fire and forget. I can drop, I can hit Heart of Darkness real quick and stun a whole bunch of guys and not miss a beat buffing. I can throw out fear and then spew regrowth, right? They're the same kind of cone. So, I think this combo is going to lend itself more to that support / control. I don't want to say synergy per se, but I should be able to do both jobs equally well. Whereas with electric and plant, you just couldn't do it. Because plant didn't have a lot of options beyond the obvious. Or here I got, I think, way more options. Alright, well there you go, gang. We're done with this build / solo strategies video. Hopefully you got some useful info out of all that. And you're ready to go ahead and watch the team missions. I'm going to go ahead with my plan is to jump back to Screaming Tree at this point, run his team stuff so we have that fresh in your brain, and then swing back to Fey Wode and run her team stuff and have that as a direct side-by-side. So at this point we had our initial introduction to the challenge, the two different characters built around NaturevAffinity. Then we took a deep dive on Screaming Tree and what he could do. And then we just took our deep dive here on Fey Wode and what she could do. So you have that right in front of you right now. You've seen both doing what they can do. So your next question is, well, hey, who's going to do better? Who is going to support your team? Who would you rather have on your team at this point? Fey Wode, the Night Terror from the forest, or the Aerial Guardian Screaming Tree, shredding that damage resistance. All right. Let me know. Put your comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go back and check out the other videos if you missed anything. And stay tuned for Screaming Tree's team missions. Peace out.